everyone, and welcome to another episode of Killer Creation. In this series, I create a killer and a survivor for the asymmetrical horror survival game, Dead by Daylight. I know I'm behind on my schedule. My laptop had to be taken back in for an issue with its fans, so I understand I have a lot of catching up to do. Don't worry though, I'm dedicated to making that happen. I owe you 8 episodes of Killer Creation, and I will deliver them to you over the next few weeks. I'd like to thank you all for your support on Twitter and the Furry and Dead by Daylight aminos. It lets me know that my work is appreciated even in its early stages. That being said, I hope anyone new to my channel enjoys this video enough to consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell to be among the first to see the newest content. Now that I've brought you all up to speed, let's hop right into this week's Killer Creation and take a look at our newest killer, the Arsenal. Sir Reginald Tolney was a lord of low esteem and little means compared to the others of his kingdom in ancient Britannia. His saving grace was his skill in combat and the ferocity with which he defended his lands. He was constantly forced to engage in combat with those who would try to steal from his land or attack the villages under his protection. Lord Tolney became renowned for his ability to fight with multiple types of weapons, bringing whatever he believed he would need with him into battle. Most men would be over-encumbered by such a burden. Over time, Lord Tolney ceased waiting for his enemies to cross into his lands and began to attack the bordering kingdom himself. He would raid the nearest village or set fire to farming lands. At first, this was thought to be all well and good by his king, for Lord Tolney had endured years of being attacked without provocation. Lord Tolney's attacks became more frequent and more brutal. He was dubbed the Skeletal Knight for the amount of bodies left in his wake. Deciding to resolve the issue, Tolney's king commanded him to attack a very specific village, claiming that they had burned a village of a neighboring lord and he wanted revenge. But when Tolney arrived at the village, he found it well defended. He charged in anyway, and as he cut through the defenders, gave himself to darkness and the thrill of murder. As the defenders burned him at the stake, Tolney remarked that he would continue to kill even after death, for he had a new king now, and it desired blood. Now that we have the Arsenal's backstory out of the way, let's take a quick look at his stats, then jump into his perks and powers. The Arsenal has a base speed that varies depending on his power, a 32-meter terror radius, and stands at an average height. The Arsenal's variable speed is what will give something of a rhythm balance for survivors to contend with, but that is all thanks to his power, Arsenal. The Arsenal comes with 3 different sets of weapons. The Arsenal can swap weapon sets by channeling the left control button for 2 seconds. The Arsenal's speed is slowed by 30% while swapping weapon sets. Sword and Shield. The Arsenal starts in this mode. The Arsenal speed is 4.4 meters per second. While in this mode, the Arsenal can channel the Activate Ability button to charge straight forward for 10 meters and perform a Shield Bash. A survivor hit by a Shield Bash is pushed forward 3 meters and is stunned for 1 second. If a survivor that is pushed forward with a Shield Bash hits an object during the push, they are stunned for 2 seconds instead. Dagger and Sword. The Arsenal's speed in this mode is 4.6 meters per second. While in this mode, the Arsenal can use the Activate Ability button whenever he misses an attack to perform an immediate follow-up attack. The follow-up attack is similar to a skill check, where the closer the Arsenal gets to getting a great skill check, the more accurate the follow-up strike is. Claymore. The Arsenal's speed in this mode is 4.2 meters per second. While in this mode, the Arsenal can use the Activate Ability button to perform a crushing attack. When performing a crushing attack, the Arsenal stops in place and swings his claymore in a vertical arc and slams the weapon down in front of him. Crushing attacks can hit a survivor within 3 meters directly in front of the Arsenal. Any survivor struck by a crushing attack is immediately put into the dying state. The Arsenal's second ability is called Heavily Armored. Effects that would stun or blind the Arsenal are reduced by 30%. And the Arsenal vaults surfaces 20% slower than normal. As you can probably tell, the Arsenal brings a lot to the table, and not only keeps survivors on their toes, but can adapt his playstyle according to the strengths and weaknesses of not just the survivors, but the circumstances of the moment. With Arsenal, his playstyle can offer him a chance to disrupt survivor movement, get a second chance on a missed swing, or even strike down a survivor outright. Sword and Shield gives the Arsenal a chance to use a tactical charge to shove survivors and stun them. Careful use of this charge can prevent survivors from reaching a vault, pallet, or loop. It can also be used to stun a survivor significantly. Dagger and Sword gives the Arsenal the option to get a follow-up swing whenever a survivor manages to juke one of your swings or doesn't capitalize fast enough on a missed swing in general. This is an extremely powerful ability, locked behind an extremely quick and difficult skill check mid-chase. Claymore is easily the most destructive of the arsenal's options, but also among the most restrictive and costly if used incorrectly. Unlike most other insta-down abilities from other killers, the arsenal cannot turn when performing his crushing blow. The best use of this ability is likely to pretend you're the trapper and corral your target into an area when it's unlikely they'll be able to escape the attack. Arsenal's secondary power, Heavily Armored, gives the Arsenal a significant buff against survivor interruptions with its stun and blind reduction, but can also slow him down in a chase with its reduction in vault speed. But now that we have the Arsenal's power out of the way, let's take a look at what perks he brings to the killer's collection. The Arsenal's first perk is called Shattered Gears. Your fury grows into a fervor, allowing you to dismantle the objects precious to your enemies and break them, making them dangerous to handle. After hooking a survivor, the next generator you break is shattered. Progress on this generator is slowed by 4, 8, or 10% until a great skill check is performed on it. The first great skill check performed on a shattered generator grants no progression. Shattered Gears is active for 40, 50, or 60 seconds after the survivor is hooked. The Arsenal's second perk is called Ancient Hinges. The entity has seen fit to slightly modify the world around you to better represent the environment you hail from in subtle ways. Lockers and chests are 30, 40, or 50% louder when being opened and take twice as long to open or close. Whenever a chest is opened, or whenever a survivor enters or exits a locker, the killer receives a notification. The Arsenal's third perk is called Withering Presence. The intensity of your presence causes others to be shaken and fumble in fear. Withering Presence considerably reduces the chances of survivors finding an item of uncommon or higher quality from chests. Items used while in your terror radius have their efficiency reduced by 10, 20, or 30% and use up charges twice as fast as the normal rate. And those are all of the Arsenal's perks. I think he can modify killer gameplay pretty significantly. Shattered Gears is a pretty demanding slowdown in the same vein as Pop Goes the Weasel. In fact, Pop would make an amazing combo for a hook gen strategy with Shattered Gears. Ancient Hinges turns every trap and locker into a notification ping for the killer, and reduces their effectiveness by slowing the interaction time. An excellent combination for something like Iron Maiden. Withering Presence eats away at those pesky items that survivors like to bring in at a biting rate, and reduces the chances that they'll gain anything of note from chests. I think that will take care of the Arsenal and his perks. Now let's take a look at this week's survivor, Deante Brown. Deante grew up in Detroit and was raised amongst growing poverty and gang violence. It wasn't uncommon for him to attend 1 or 2 funerals a year. And while his parents and teachers struggled to convince him to stay out of the gang life, the gangs won him over through a mixture of bribes, shows of respect, and camaraderie. In Deante's mind, it was better to be counted as part of a gang than be counted among their victims. And so, his life became a series of violence and criminal activity from then on. Constant gang warfare had left Deante used to pain and being able to tolerate a great amount of hurt before he would stop fighting. But it also taught him that crime definitely paid off, even if he was caught a few times while in the midst of a robbery. While he was fully invested in the gang was fully invested in protecting their turf, which included the people and places within their territory. One day, when a rival gang attacked, Deante's gang retaliated and a massive firefight erupted in the streets. As Deante and his gang began to gain the upper hand, Deante was shot in the stomach. He fought through the pain, moving closer and closer to the rivals, determined to push them back. As his fierceness and determination became apparent, the last few rival gang members jumped into a car and sped off, leaving a thick cloud of smoke from their tires in their wake. Deante continued to move forward, the pain in his stomach tapering off, and a strange fire slowly coming more clearly into view. Now that we know how Deante came into the realm of the entity, let's see what perks he brings to help out the other survivors. Deante's first perk is called Hardcore. You've experienced near-death experiences so many times that you know how to care for yourself and get back in the action, even if you won't be in the best state. While in the dying state, you do not leave a blood trail. Once per trial, you can recover 50% of your health back while in the dying state. When you do this, you will recover from the dying state but remain broken for the rest of the game. Deante's second perk is called Make It Rain. You know how to get your hands on the most valuable items around, but you don't exactly make your efforts subtle. You see the auras of all chests and totems on the map. Whenever you come within 10 meters of a chest or totem, your aura is revealed to the killer for 10, 8, or 4 seconds. This effect continues even when totems are cleansed and chests are emptied. Deante's third perk is called Urban Maneuvers. Your knowledge of urban environments has taught you how best to get through them without being seen. You gain the ability to press yourself flat against walls and other tall objects by holding the left control button. While pressed against an object, you can peek around corners using the Activate Ability button. And that'll take care of Deante's perks. I think he brings an impressive mix. Hardcore is a faster perk to get you up from the dying state, but you'll sacrifice the healthy state for the rest of the game. Combining its passive ability to make it so that you don't leave a blood trail while in the dying state with tenacity, you can make for a slippery slug indeed. Make It Rain gives you an immense amount of map knowledge, but the trade-off is also that you give the killer regular knowledge of your whereabouts as well. A dangerous perk to run solo, but immensely useful in a survive with friends group. Finally, Urban Maneuvers gives you another way to sneak around the map and check around corners more safely. It gives no significant buff to a survivor's gameplay, but it can help you move around more stealthily. But that will take care of Deante's perks. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope you all liked the Arsenal and Deante. Thank you all for sticking through the video. If you enjoyed it, please consider giving it a like. If you didn't, give it a dislike and let me know why in the comments. I hope you all have a great day, and as always, stay positive.